your Social Security checks just got an upgrade. Well, at least for now, based on a new report that was released by the Senior Citizens League, which I'm going to share with you here in this video, as I was just out a couple weeks ago giving some other estimates as well, which were significantly lower, but this is actually way more optimistic for Social Security beneficiaries, and it leads to a significantly higher raise than what I was talking about just a couple weeks ago. I'm going to compare both of these side by side here for you. We're going to talk through the details, and I also do have this article right here. I'm going to pop this up in just a second so you can see and read for yourself exactly what it's talking about. I'll explain the key details within here, what they're saying versus what I was saying just a couple weeks ago, what this looks like for our monthly benefit checks, and only time will tell, as always, because things are changing, and it's also an election year, which we certainly need to take into consideration because we all recognize a lot of things are very weird during election years, which I also alluded to. All right, anyway, let's pop this up right here, right now. Feel free to read through the details on this. I will pull out the key details within this that I want you to understand. All right, so in the middle of February, we got the most recent inflation data. Now, that was January's inflation data, which honestly feels like a little while ago now, but either way, we need to look at the inflation data because remember, we use the inflation data to determine how much of a raise we're going to be getting to our monthly benefits. Now, I would imagine if you've been watching the videos here on the channel for any length of time, you certainly recognize that, as I've mentioned that like 1,000 times over the last couple years. Anyway, so here's what they're projecting. Based on the most recent inflation data that was released for the month of January, we actually see that the estimate out of the Senior Citizens League is suggesting a 2.8% raise in the coming year here for benefits. Now, sounds a little familiar, right? You're right, it is, because that's exactly what we got this year in 2026, and we can all say it together. What a freaking joke that was, right? What a joke. They pulled a fast one on us. Yep, they sure did. They pulled a fast one on us. 2.8%. Anyway, so that's what we got this year, 2026. Now, they're projecting another 2.8% raise in 2027. Now, I'm going to be fair. We all recognize this. 2027 is a very long time from right now. Okay, but here's what's interesting about this. A couple weeks ago, right after that data was released, I was out in a separate video and I said, hey, check this out. We can see that on a month-over-month basis that the CPIW, this is what I was saying a couple weeks ago in that dedicated video, and I held up a screenshot that came right out of the BLS website, the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, and that report that came out. And I said, look, on a month-over-month basis, we can see that the CPIW actually increased by 0.3%, but on an annualized basis, the CPIW, which is what they use to determine how much a raise we're going to get, actually went up by 2.2% on a year-over-year basis. But then I also talked about in that video, I said we need to take into consideration the trajectory, the trend of inflation, which is still very early on in the year right now, but we also need to take into consideration the seasonality and the other factors that are coming in this year in 2026, which is the midterm election. I pointed to that very clearly in the video that I had a couple weeks ago. But in that video, I was saying because of these factors, I anticipate these numbers to drop off significantly throughout the course of the year. And as we continue to move closer and closer to November, most notably during the third quarter of the year, July, August, and September, which is honestly still a handful of months out from right now as we speak. But I was saying in the summer, July, August, and September, the third quarter of the year, which is what they use to determine how much of a raise we're going to be getting, they use that inflation data. I was saying I anticipate these numbers to come down pretty substantially. Well, you can see the estimate that I gave you a couple weeks ago, I was projecting based on all factors taken into consideration, current inflation, the rate of inflation, trajectory, the trend of inflation, as well as the seasonality and other factors, hashtag midterm election coming up. I was anticipating a raise of 2.1%, and here the Senior Citizens League is coming out suggesting a 2.8% raise. So obviously, their projection is significantly more favorable than the projection that I gave a few weeks ago. Okay, we're apart by 0.7% or 0.7%. That's, isn't like a ton, but at the end of the day, obviously we want a 2.8% versus the 2.1% that I talked about a couple weeks ago. So obviously we're still very far out. We're still months and months and months away from that official announcement, which will come out in the middle of October, which is still a very long time from right now. I totally get. But the reason that I want to bring this to your attention is simply because, as I mentioned in the video the other day, well, a couple weeks ago, I should say, is we need to continue to look at the trend/trajectory of this inflation and other factors that, again, I've explained here in this video so far. So this is what we're looking at as of right now. So regardless of how you cut it, whether you look at my estimate of 2.1% or you look at the Senior Citizens League projection of 2.8%, we're still looking like we're not going to get not much. Based on these numbers right here, we're still not looking at much of a raise regardless of how you cut it. And we all know exactly what this looks like because we just saw it this year in 2026. How much of a raise did we get? 2.8%. How much of that 2.8% is helping you out right now financially? Drop your comment down below. I'd be very curious to see how many of you in this community are dropping comments down below right now saying, 2.8%? What are you talking about? I got nothing. Yeah, exactly. Because most people got virtually nothing once you factored in the $17.90 Medicare Part B premium increase, which was, by the way, 9.6%, which you've heard me talk about a ton of times over the last few months here. That increased by 9.6%. The COLA was 2.8%. The COLA for most people translated into, say, well, not a whole lot of money, right? Not much money at all. For example, a $1,000 benefit garnered $28 a month, minusing off the roughly $18 increase to the Medicare Part B premium, and you actually were left with $10 on a $1,000 monthly benefit. It's nothing, right? That's a 1% raise, 1%. When you really take it in net, and you net it all out there, as in the COLA, minusing off the Part B premium, it was actually only factored into a 1% raise for a $1,000 monthly benefit. Okay, so that's kind of the factor. And obviously, the lower the benefit, the more of an impact of the premium increase, and the less of an impact of the COLA, if that makes sense, right? So this is where we're at as of right now. Now, again, I totally recognize, and I'm sure I'll see comments down below saying, "Why are you talking about this? Who cares? 2027 is like 10 months away." Yeah, it's a very long time from, well, it's actually a little less than 10 months away, but you get my point, right? Either way, I'm not sure about you, but I want to look at the trends. I want to look at the trajectory. I want to see where we at with these numbers. And another thing too as well, we all recognize they cook the books on these numbers so much, right? These numbers are highly manipulated. Well, do you think going into a midterm election cycle that the numbers are going to be more or less manipulated? Just take a quick little guess, right? I think any of us can know the answer on that. And again, I'm not trying to make this into a political video, which I'm not. It just happens all the time. We see this happen every single time during election cycles. They cook the books a little bit, right? Just like the most recent jobs numbers and the inflation data that we received in the middle of February. Yep, it was all really good. Whoa, surprisingly, right? We've seen really bad numbers, and all of a sudden we see really good numbers that were released in the middle of February for the month of January. What changed? Because generally we don't see that in January. We usually see the opposite, right? Anyway, just want to point this out. Either way, let's see what happens. Maybe the numbers are truly accurate. Maybe they won't cook the books, and maybe this inflation will continue to trend higher like we've been projecting for a very long time, like many people have been projecting for a while. And if these numbers truly do continue to trend higher throughout the course of the year, who knows? Maybe in the summer, July, August, and September, when we're all just trying to have a hot dog on the grill, because they're like $7 a piece now, or whatever. Maybe when we're all trying to just enjoy our lives during the summer and whatever else, maybe we will see a major spike during those 3 months in inflation. Let's hope not, because that just means it drives up prices on everything, which we all recognize. Once prices go up, they don't come back down. But maybe if that's what happens, maybe they will collect that data and we'll see it reflected in the potential raise to our benefit, and maybe we'll get a substantially higher benefit in 2027. It's still way too early to know, but either way, this is the trend, this is the trajectory, and this is where we're at as of right now. Let's see who's going to be right with this as we get closer and closer. Again, as I mentioned, my projection as of a couple weeks ago was sitting at 2.1%. Senior Citizens League here is coming in at 2.8%. No matter how you cut it, it's still very, very low, right? So either way, I'll keep posted on all this. I hope this helps you out. But again, I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. Otherwise, please, if you're new, subscribe. Big subscribe button down below, 100% for free. Please share the video. Big share button down below. Otherwise, as always, let me know what else I can do for you. Drop your comments, questions, feedback. Otherwise, check out the other 6,000 plus videos here on the channel in the video library. And have a nice day. Hope this helps you. And cut.